Hey everyone, and welcome to our presentation. Let me start by introducing our group. Our group consists of Miss Alivio, Miss Arce, Mag-Alasin, Magat, and me, Reynida. So we will be discussing the fourth chapter that talks about personal requirements. So without further ado, pumunta na tayo sa exciting part.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Charlene and I will discuss the introduction to Chapter 4. The planning of personal requirements includes the planning for employee parking, locker rooms, restrooms, food services, drinking fountains, and health services. This challenge has been compounded by the advent of 1989 Americans with Disabilities Act or ADA. This act prohibits discrimination against people with disabilities in several areas including employment, transportation, public accommodations, communications, and access to state and local government programs and services. The facilities planner must integrate barrier-free designs in addressing the personal requirements of the facility. Sabi nga, in personal requirements is one of the most difficult to plan because of the number of philosophies relating to personal. Halimbawa, may mga firms na sinasabi nila that they are responsible for their employees from the moment they leave their home until they return. We must provide adequate methods of getting to and from work. Kaya kadalasan may mga shuttle buses sila. Yung ibang company, they provide shuttle buses para mas convenient yung mga employees nila pag pumasok sa trabaho. Yung iba naman, they provide individual parking slots sa building para sa mga employees nila. Yung third example ay yung employees spend 1/3 of their life within our facility. We must help them enjoy working here. Yung pang-apat ay yung a happy worker is a productive worker. Panglima yung a hot lunch makes a worker more productive since it supplies them energy. Yung pang-anim ay yung workers who do not feel well are unsafe workers. We should provide medical care to maintain health. Lalo na ngayong may pandemic, talagang merong strict implementation na pag you don't feel well, hindi ka pwedeng pumasok or you need to do COVID test. Yung pang-pito naman yung our company has an obligation to our personnel. We will make all our facilities ADA compliant. May mga companies na rin na unti-unting nag-a-adapt ng safe working place para sa mga PWDs to accommodate them. Number 8, except for individuals in private offices, no one is allowed to smoke in our building. Number 9, our employees work hard. The least we can do is provide a place for them to unwind after a hard day's work. Employees who play together will work better together. And yung last ay yung personal considerations are of little importance in our facility. We pay people to work, not to have a good time. All these philosophies are debatable and none of them are universally accepted. Nevertheless, if the management of a facility firmly adopts one of these philosophies, little can be done by the facility planner other than plan the facility to conform with these philosophies. This chapter presents how to plan personal requirements into a facility given the desires of the management. Restrooms should be located within 200 feet of every permanent workstation. Decentralized restrooms often provide greater employee convenience than large centralized restrooms. Access to these must be available to handicapped employees. Mezzanine restrooms are common in production facilities as they may be located where employees are centered without occupying valuable floor space. Unless restrooms are designed for single occupancy, separate restrooms should be provided for each sex. Tapos, next itong mga table na to, dito nakalagay kung gaano ba yung dapat na dami ng mga water closets, yung mga urinal, yung mga lavatories per establishments or sa isang business na nakaayon din sa kung gaano kadami yung tao na nandun or yung gagamit nun. Halimbawa na lang dito sa assembly religious, one water closet and one lavatory. Sa schools, for pupils, water closets for pupils in elementary schools, one for each 100 males and one for each 75 females. In secondary schools, one for each 100 males and one for each 45 females. Tapos isang lavatory for each 50 pupils and one urinal for each 30 male pupils. And last, yung one drinking fountain for each 150 pupils, but at least one on each floor having classrooms. For institutional persons whose movement are not limited, within each dwelling unit, one must have one kitchen sink, water closet, shower, and lavatory. Where sleeping accommodations are arranged as a dormitory, provide the following for each 15 person. Isang water closet, isang shower, and isang lavatory. For institutional, other than hospitals, persons whose movement are limited. Yung kanina, yung movement ay hindi limited. On each story, water closets for each 25 males and one for each 20 females. One urinal for each 50 male occupants, one lavatory for each 10 occupants, one shower for each 10 occupants, and one drinking fountain for each 50 occupants. Fixture for employees the same as required for Group C1 occupancy in separate rooms for each sex. Mamaya we will discuss kung ano ba yung Group C1 occupancy. For institutional, for hospitals, for patients' use, one water closet and one lavatory for each 10 patients. Pangalawa yung one shower or bathtub for each 20 patients. Yung pangatlo ay one drinking fountain or equivalent fixture for each 100 patients. For institutional, katulad ng mental hospitals, for patients' use, isang water closet, lavatory, and one shower for 8 patients. Tapos isang one drinking fountain or equivalent fixture for each 50 patients. Fixture for employees the same as required for Group C1 occupancy in separate rooms from those patients. For penal institutions, for inmate use, one water closet and one lavatory in each cell, one shower on each floor on which cells are located, one water closet and one lavatory for inmate use available in each exercise area. Lavatories for inmate use need not be supplied with hot water. Fixtures for employees the same as required for Group C1 occupancy and placed in separate rooms from those used by inmates. Ito na ngayon kaninang binabanggit natin ng mga C1 occupancy. For business, C1 occupancy, building is used primarily for the transaction of business with the handling of merchandise being incident to the primary use. Pag sinabi mo namang C2 occupancy, ito yung mercantile, wherein yung building used primarily for the display of merchandise and its sale to the public. Additional requirements para dito ay yung one drinking fountain, or equivalent fixture for 75 employees. Urinals may be substitute for not more than one-third of the required number of water closets when more than 35 males are employed. For industrial o yung C3 occupancy, yung mga buildings ay ginagamit primarily para sa manufacture or processing ng mga produkto. For storage naman, yung mga buildings ay ginagamit mostly para sa shelter for merchandise, vehicles, or animals. Additional requirements for this ay yung one drinking fountain or equivalent fixture for each 75 employees. Urinals provided where more than 10 males are employed, 1 for 11 to 29, 2 for 30 to 79, and 1 additional urinal for every 80 in excess of 79. And lastly, yung assembly o yung C5 occupancy. Buildings are used primarily for the assembly for athlete, educational, religious, social, or similar purposes. Additional requirement for this ay yung one drinking fountain for each 1,000 occupants, but at least one on each floor. So this picture shows the restroom layout with typical fixture clearances. Nandito yung sinks and lavatories in accordance dun sa diniscuss kanina kung ilan ba yung dapat na present na sink and lavatories, urinals, toilet or showers present sa isang restroom sa isang establishment, kung anong type ba siya ng establishment, kung group C1 ba siya, or C2 or C3. Dito din, it is also said that the entrance doorways into restrooms should be designed such that the interior of the restroom is not visible from the outside when the door is open. A space allowance of 15 feet squared should be used for the entrance. This sample restroom layout showing the typical minimum clearances. In the sample layout, there are 2.5 feet by 5 feet toilets, 3 feet by 5 feet shower stall, 7 sinks, and 3 urinals. Using 6 feet squared per sink and per urinal, and 15 square feet for the entrance. The space requirement without aisles and other clearances comes to 140 square feet. The total floor space required for the restroom is approximately dapat 190 feet square feet na siya. Hence, itong example na to, nagkaroon siya ng increase ng 35%. Kasi nga, nagdagdag ng aisle space and other clearances. Tapos, in other cases naman, the increase in floor space requirement may be slightly less or considerably greater than 35%, depending on the exact layout of the fixtures and the shape of the room. Ayun lang. That's all. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Yvette Moira A. Magalasin, and I'm going to report about food services and health services. So, let's start with the food services. Ang sabi daw, ang food services, mas importante siya para sa facilities planner. So, ano nga ba yung dahilan bakit siya importante sa facilities planner? So, first, the shifting of new facilities away from central business districts. So, di ba, yung mga business districts, usually, nandun yung maraming tao. So, nandun din yung mga kainan. And if yung bagong facility mo, malayo dun sa business district, edi, nahihirapan yung employees or tao sa isang facility na punta sa kainan. So, kaya naging importante para sa mga facilities planner na may maayos na food services sa isang facility. Next is the shortening of meal breaks. So, pag mix yung meal breaks, so kailangan talaga nasa loob ng building lang or ng facility yung food services na kailangan ng tao or ng mga employees. And third is the OSHA rule or the Occupational Safety, Health, administration's rule. So, ano nga ba yung rule na yun? Hindi nila pinapayagan yung pag-consume ng mga pagkain wherein may toxic substances. So, kailangan talaga ma-ensure ng isang facility na okay yung pagkain na nakakain ng mga employees or ng tao sa isang facilities. And the last one is increased importance of employee fringe benefits. So, ano ba yung fringe benefits? Ito yung usually additional benefits na binibigay sa mga employee gaya ng health insurance, worker compensations, retirement plans, medical leave, pension, and paid holiday. So, isipin nyo if kung yung mga tao, employees or tao sa isang facility, nagkasakit dahil sa kinain nila sa labas, edi mas malulugi yung company dahil mas maglalabas sila ng pera. So, kailangan talaga may maayos na food services sa isang facility. Yung food service activities, maaring makita daw ng isang firm or business as a necessity, convenience, or a luxury. And may malaking impact sa pagplano ng food service facilities yung mga policies ng isang firm regarding sa pagkain sa labas, pagbaba ng presyo ng mga pagkain sa loob ng isang facility, and yung time allowed para kumain ng isang meal. So, ano nga ba dapat yung mga things to consider sa pagplano ng food service activities at kitchen facilities? So, sa food service activities, yung kailangan i-consider is yung number ng employees who eat in the facilities during peak activity time. While sa kitchen facilities naman, yung total number of meals na kailangan i-serve. Kapag yung employees kumakain in shifts, usually yung first third of each shift, ayun yung time na ginugugol ng employee para sa pag-prepare sa pagkain and pagkuha ng pagkain nila. While yung remaining time, yung 2/3 ng oras nila, yun yung time na ginugugol nila para kainin na yung nakuha nilang pagkain. So, here sa table na to, makikita nyo na it is a 30-minute meal break plan. So, table 4.3 is shifting timing for 30-minute lunch breaks. So, dito, yung unang shift, di ba, nakalagay, yung beginning of lunch break nila is 11:30 a.m. and yung time sat down in chair is 11:40 a.m. So, bakit 11:40 to? Kasi, di ba, 30-minute lunch break sila and 1/3 ng 30 minutes is 10 minutes. So, may 10 minutes sila para mag-prepare and makuha yung pagkain nila. And the remaining time, which is 20 minutes, which is 2/3 of the whole shift, yun yung time na ginugugol nila para kainin na yung nakuha nilang pagkain. Yung susunod ng shift ng kakain, nakita nyo, yung beginning ng lunch break nila is 11:50 a.m. And by the time na nakaupo na sila sa upuan nila, tapos na yung lunch break ng naunang shift. And matatapos sila ng 12:20 p.m. So, makikita nyo, ganun din yung pattern. May 10 minutes sila para mag-prepare and makuha yung meal. And the remaining time, yun yung ginagugol nila para kainin yung meal na nakuha nila. So, makikita nyo dito sa table nila kung kano kaayos yung plano ng lunch break. Kasi, tanyo, by the time na patapos na kumain yung first shift, papasok na yung second shift para kunin na yung pagkain nila. Para mag-prepare and makuha yung pagkain nila. And by the time nakuha na nila yung pagkain nila, wala nang taong nakaupo doon sa, let's say, cafeteria. Wala nang nakaupo doon kasi tapos na yung lunch break yung naunang shift. And paulit-ulit lang yung cycle na yun. And kung makikita nyo dito, mag-umpisa every 20 minutes yung susunod na shift. Nakita nyo dun sa unang lunch break, 11:30. Tapos yung susunod na shift, 11:50. 20 minutes yung pagitan nila. Next is, 12 din naman, 20 minutes pa rin. Then yung last shift is 12:30. Kita nyo, 20 minutes din yung pagitan. And what if naman 45-minute break yung plano? Edi, for example, yung beginning ng lunch break is 11 a.m. Then, yung time sat down in chair magiging 11:15. Bakit 11:15? Kasi, ang 1/3 ng 45 minutes is 15 minutes. And yung end ng lunch break is 11:45 since 45 minutes break na. And yung susunod na shift is magsa-start ng 11:30. And yung time sat down in chair is 11:45. At matatapos yun ng 12:15 p.m. So kung mapapansin nyo, parehas lang din na by the time na nakaupo na sila sa upuan, tapos na rin yung lunch break nung naunang nag-lunch. And this time naman, every 30 minutes naman yung magsa-start yung susunod na shift. Since yung 2/3 nung time ng 45 minutes is 30 minutes. So, ayun, magbibigyan siya every 30 minutes. Sana na-gets yung example ko. Okay, let's move on. Dito naman tayo sa food service alternatives. So ito yung mga alternatives na nakaka-satisfy sa food service requirements. Yung una is dining away from the facility. Yung second is vending machines and cafeteria. Third, serving line and cafeteria. And fourth, full kitchen and cafeteria. So kung mapapansin nyo, yung first alternative natin, which is dining away from the facility, napapadali niya yung task ng isang facilities planner. Bakit? Kasi isipin nyo kung wala or onti lang yung kakain sa isang facility, edi hindi niya na kailangan mag-isip ng isang magandang food service facilities kasi wala namang kakain dun sa loob eh. Or kung meron man, onti lang. Mapapadali nga to para sa facilities planner, pero may mga disadvantages. Yung pag-require sa mga employees na umalis sa facility during mealtime. Here are some of the disadvantages. First, meal breaks must be longer. So, syempre, kailangan pahabain yung mga meal breaks kung sa labas kakain yung mga employees. Kasi, pag sa labas, hindi sila sure kung marami ba yung tao or onti ba or punuan na ba yung mga restaurant. So, minsan kailangan nilang pumunta sa malayong kainan para lang makakain kasi nga punuan malapit din sa labas kunyari ng isang building. And may disadvantage yun sa business kasi mas iiksi yung time for work done kasi humaba yung meal breaks. The next disadvantage is employee supervision is lost, which may result in employees not returning to work. So, hindi naman mababantayan yung mga employees pag sa labas sila lang kumain, diba? Mamaya, bigla pa lang kailangan nilang umuwi, hindi na sila bumalik sa work. Hindi mo masusubaybayan yung employees pag wala siya sa loob ng building, diba? Okay, so next is horseplay. Horseplay is a noisy, physically active behavior, especially when people push each other as a joke. In Tagalog, parang harutan, diba? So, horseplay can lead to accidents, injuries. So, hindi natin gusto mangyari yun. The next one is returning to work intoxicated. Siyempre, kagaya nga na sinabi ko, hindi naman mababantayan yung mga employees pag sa labas sila kumain. Hindi natin makikita kung umiinom ba sila ng alcoholic beverages. Kasi kung sa loob sila ng company, for sure, wala namang alcoholic beverages doon. So, ayun. Next is returning to work late. Minsan, pwedeng makaligtaan ng employees yung time, diba? Lalo na if they're having fun with their co-workmates or minsan malayo yung pinagkainan nila kaya may chance na maging late sila for work kasi nga di naman catered para sa kanila, sa lahat ng employees yung mga restaurant sa labas ng building nila. So the third disadvantage is there may be a loss of worker interaction. Kasi diba tuwing meal breaks, doon lang naman yung time na nakakapag-interact talagang mabuti yung mga workers with their co-workers. Kung isipin mo kung sa labas sila kakain, syempre, wala sila sa isang room. Kasi pwedeng iba't ibang restaurants sila pumunta. Mawawalan sila ng chance makipag-interact with their co-workers. Kasi nga, wala sila sa isang room. Okay, so yung fourth disadvantage is there may be a loss of worker concentration on the task to be performed. Syempre, during meal breaks, lalayo pa yung mga employees. So, mawawala talaga yung momentum nila. Kasi maghahanap pa sila ng kakainan nila imbis na nandyan na, may pupuntahan na silang sure. Maghahanap pa sila ng kakainan. In addition to these disadvantages, yung mga off-site restaurants, hindi nila kayang i-handle na conveniently yung employee meal breaks. Kaya, hindi talaga recommended na umalis yung employee sa facility nila during meal breaks. Kaya kailangan may nakaplano talagang space within the facility for dining. For the 3 remaining food service alternatives, a cafeteria is required. Kailangan makapag-design ng mga cafeterias para yung mga employees makapag-relax and makadine ng conveniently. So, ano ba dapat yung mga i-consider sa paggawa ng cafeteria? Ito yung mga dapat i-consider: functional planning, ease of cleaning, aesthetic factors, and movable partitions. Dahil yung cafeteria, hindi lang naman siya para sa meal breaks ng employees, kundi pwede din siyang gamitin para sa mga conference and private lunch and meetings. Kaya nga, kailangan talaga yung movable partitions para tuwing may conference and private lunch and meetings, may sarili silang room doon sa cafeteria. So, an integral part of the cafeteria is the food preparation or serving facilities. The option of a serving line or full-service kitchen will be contingent on the number of employees to be served. If a facility employs over 200 people, a serving line is a feasible alternative. So, sabi lang dito na necessary magkaroon ng food preparation and serving facilities sa isang cafeteria. And yung option ng pagkakaroon ng serving line or full-service kitchen is nakadepende dun sa number ng employees to be served. And usually, pag yung facility nag-employ ng over 200 people, pwedeng magkaroon ng serving line as an alternative. Since mapapadali yung flow ng pagkuha ng pagkain kapag may serving line. So here, this is figure 4.7. This is a serving line with caterer's preparation area. So, sa figure na to, pinapakita yung efficient walkthrough serving line. Makikita nyo dito sa figure, may entrance and exit, diba? Ayun yung entrance, pagpasok mo may tray. Tapos, pwede ka na kumuha ng catered food, which are the chicken, roast beef, salad, burgers. Dito sa kabila, may pie and dessert dispenser, may drinks, may condiments, may coffee. Then, ayun, may cashier, magbabayad ka. And then, may exit dito. Exit ka na. So, kung mapapansin nyo, yung sa taas ng serving line is yung caterer's preparation area. Ayan. Yung malaking space na yan sa taas. Ayan yung caterer's preparation area. So, kung saan malapit yung pagkain na sinaserve dun sa catered food service, malapit din yung gawaan. Like here, yung roast beef, yung toaster, yung refrigerator, nandyan yung griller, yung slicer, yung scale. Malapit dun sa lagayan ng pagkain. And dun sa kabila, diba, ito yung coffee shakes. Malapit sila dun sa lagayan ng drinks, pati lagayan ng coffee. Malapit din yung fry station dun sa pie and dessert dispenser kasi pie, diba, fina-fry naman yun. Ayun. So, nakita nyo, diba, maayos yung pagkakaplano ng facility na to. So, ano nga ba yung mga space requirements for cafeterias? So, there are 3 classification: commercial, industrial, and banquet. So, sa commercial, ang square footage allowance per person is 16 to 18 square feet. Sa industrial, 12 to 15 square feet. Sa banquet, 10 to 11 square feet. So, yung space requirements sa isang cafeteria, nakabase siya sa maximum number ng employees na kakain sa loob ng cafeteria at any one time. And in the table 4.4, binibigay niya yung general area requirement guidelines. And yung space allocated within the ranges given here sa table 4.4 is madedetermined by the type ng tables na gagamitin. So, there are 3 types ng table na usually ginagamit sa cafeteria. Ito yung square tables, rectangular tables, and round tables. Ang popular sizes for square tables are 26, 42, and 48 inches square tables. And sa rectangular tables naman, 30 inches wide and 6, 8, and 10 feet long. While sa round tables naman, 30, 36, and 42 inches in diameter. So, yung square tables, nagre-require siya ng more aisle space than the rectangular tables. Pero, kung gagamitin natin yung square tables, mas magmumukhang maganda tignan yung cafeteria. Another thing na pinagbabasehan sa pagpili ng table, hindi lang dahil sa kung ano yung maganda itsura is yung whether i-retain ng employees yung trays pagkakain sila or hindi. Kasi di ba minsan may mga taong habang kumakain, nandun pa rin yung tray, or may mga tao naman na tinatanggal yung tray pagkakain na sila. Kung yung mga employees kumakain ng walang tray, adequate na yung 36-inch square table na gamitin habang kumakain sila. Pag naman may tray na ginagamit yung mga employees habang kumakain sila, 48-inch square table is yung suitable para gamitin nila dahil yung standard size ng isang tray is 14 by 18 inches. So, may enough space pa rin sila kahit may tray pa silang nakalagay doon kapag 14-inch square table yung ginamit nila. Yung square tables naman na 42 inches by 42 inches, spacious na yung table na yun, lalo na kung hindi gagamit ng tray yung mga employees. Tsaka spacious pa rin siya kung gagamit yung employees ng trays. Pero dapat smaller than the standard size ng tray yung gagamitin nilang tray. So kung nakapag-decide ka na ng gagamitin mong type ng table, kunyari 36-inch square tables yung gagamitin mo, then titingnan mo dito sa table 4.4. Ano bang dapat mong gamitin na space? Ang dapat gamitin kapag 36-inch square tables yung gagamitin mo is yung average space, which is yung industrial space na may 12 to 15 square feet allowance per person. Pag naman 42-inch square tables yung gagamitin mo, yung space requirements na gagamitin mo is between the average and the highest value based dito sa table 4.4, which is the industrial type ng space and the commercial type ng space. While naman, kung gagamitin mo is yung 48-inch square table or round tables, then yung highest value na nandito sa table 4.4 yung gagamitin mo, which is the commercial type ng space, which has a 16 to 18 square feet allowance per person. So, dito naman tayo sa rectangular tables. Yung rectangular tables, meron siyang 6, 8, 10, and 12 feet long na length ng table na pwedeng mag-cashing 3, 4, and 5 employees on each side of the table pero walang end seats. So, kung gamit tayo ng individual 6-foot rectangular tables, yung average space din yung gagamitin natin, which is yung industrial type ng space na may 12 to 15 square feet allowance per person. Gagamitin naman natin yung average and lowest figures dito sa table 4.4, which is yung industrial type and yung banquet na classification kapag gagamit tayo ng rectangular tables na naka-place end-to-end na pwedeng makaupo 6 to 12 people. Pag more than 12 people naman yung pwedeng makaupo sa row ng tables, then yung banquet type yung gagamitin natin, which has a 10 to 11 square feet allowance per person. So, makikita nyo nga dito na nakadepende talaga sa table na gagamitin, yung space requirements na gagamitin mo for the cafeteria. Okay, dito naman tayo sa vending machines. So, yung vending machines daw, ito yung least troublesome way of providing food services for employees, and it is the most flexible of on-site food service alternatives. Kasi di ba may mga employees na hindi naman bumibili ng lunch. So, mas komportable sila kapag vending machines yung ginagamit than pipila pa sila sa mga serving lines or full kitchens na provide na isang company. Mas mahirapan pa sila doon kasi usually mahaba yung pila, di ba? For space planning purposes, 1 square foot per person dapat yung ina-allow for vending machine area based sa maximum number ng person na kumakain at one time. Itong figure 4.8 sa baba, it shows the typical institutional vending area layout. So, makikita nyo, di ba, yung entrance, hindi yung exit. Kasi wala namang pila dito. Unlike dun sa layout nung cafeteria kanina, di ba, na may serving line, kaya may entrance and exit sila. Dito, kung saan ka nag-enter, pwede kang mag-exit. Tandaan nyo rin na kapag gagawa ng typical institutional vending area na layout, yung refrigerated vending machine tsaka yung mga microwave ovens, it requires na may rear wall na clearance up to 8 inches para malamigan yung likod nung mga vending machines tsaka microwave oven. Also, no hot water is required And some beverage dispensing units, nagre-require sila ng cold water line na may shut-off valve. So, dapat kapag yung basurahan na pupuno na, may may internal bucket siya or tray na kung saan dun mapupunta yung mga dumi. Also, dapat bawat machines na nandun sa vending area may separate na 115 volts na electrical circuit. Also, yung delivery amperages should range from approximately 2 to 20 amperes per machine. So, nakikita nyo nga dito sa figure 4.8, diba? Na may space dun sa likod ng mga machines. Kasi nga, baka maging sobrang mainit kung walang space dun. If a facility employs over 200 people, a serving line is a feasible alternative. Kapag gumamit naman tayo ng serving line, dapat may caterer na ikokontrata para gawin lahat ng food off-site para mag-serve ng food sa employees. Ang advantage ng serving line is parang nag-o-offer sila ng full kitchen sa employees pero maliit na effort lang galing sa management ng facility yung kailangan. So, the cost of a meal is often quite competitive with the cost of running a full kitchen for facilities employing less than 400 people. Siyempre, pag nag-run ka ng full kitchen, maraming tao yung kailangan mong bayaran. Less than 400 people lang naman yung bibili ng meal. A typical industrial serving line requires 300 square feet and can serve 7 employees per minute. So, dapat may sufficient number ng service line na pinoprovide para during peak demand, ganun pa rin na serve pa rin sa employees during 1/3 ng lunch period or lunch break nila, yung pagkain nila. So, when a full kitchen is used, a serving line and a kitchen must be included in the facility. Kagaya nung unang figure na pinakita ko sa inyo is serving line, dapat kapag may full kitchen ka, may ganun ka pa rin. Dahil maraming tao pa rin yung bibili. So, kailangan mo ng serving line para maayos yung pagkuha ng pagkain. Mag-justify lang economically yung full kitchen kapag over 400 employees yung nandun sa isang facility. Kapag may kitchen, nagkakaroon ng full control over food service yung management ng facility and nakakapag-respond din sila dun sa mga desires ng employee since yun nga, may full control sila. Madalas yung ganitong klase ng control, mahirap siya, tsaka magastos. Kaya, mostly ng firms, hindi gustong gawin yung ganitong klase ng food service. Space planning for kitchens to include space for food storage, food preparation, and dishwashing should be based on the total number of meals to be prepared. So, dito sa next page, makikita natin yung table 4.5, which is the space requirements for full kitchens. So, makikita nyo dito yung space estimates para sa full kitchen. So, ito nakita nyo is number of meals served and yung area requirements in square feet. So, if 100 to 200 yung meals na isa-serve, ang area requirement is 500 to 1,000 square feet. Kapag naman 200 to 400 meals ang isa-serve, ang area requirement is 800 to 1,600 square feet. Kapag naman 400 to 800 meals ang isa-serve, ang area requirement is 1,400 to 2,800 square feet. And kapag naman 800 to 1,300 meals ang isa-serve, ang area requirement is 2,400 to 3,900 square feet. Kapag naman ang meals na isa-serve ay 1,300 to 2,000, ang area requirement is 3,250 to 5,000 square feet. And kapag naman 2,000 to 3,000 ang meals na isa-serve, ang area requirement is 4,000 to 6,000 square feet. And lastly, kapag ang meals na isa-serve ay from 3,000 to 5,000 meals, ang area requirement ay 5,500 to 9,250 square feet. So, ayun. Kailangan nyo lang tignan yung table na to pag magpaplano kayo ng layout for a full kitchen and a cafeteria. Kailangan nyo rin malaman kung ilang meals may isa-serve nyo para malaman nyo kung ano yung requirement ng area na kailangan dun sa layout nyo. Food services should be located within the facility using the following guidelines. So the first guideline is food services should be located within 1,000 feet of all permanent employee workstations. So dapat hindi siya tataas ng 1,000 feet. Pag lumagpas na siya ng 1,000 feet, dapat i-consider na nung management na magkaroon ng decentralized food services. So yung second guideline is food services should be centrally located and positioned so that the distance from the farthest workstation is minimized. So kailangan nasa gitna yung food services para kahit malayo yung workstation, mapapaisi pa rin yung distance niya from the food services. The third guideline is food services should be located to allow delivery of food and trash pickup. Dapat daw yung food services na sa isang lugar kung saan pwedeng mag-deliver ng food and ma-pick up yung trash. The fourth guideline is food services should be located to allow employees an outside view while eating. So, yung mga food services daw, dapat nasa lugar siya kung saan may chance makita yung employee ng outside view. Ang pangit naman kasi, di ba, kung puro na lang ding-ding yung nakikita ng employees. Dapat kahit naman for a while lang during their lunch break, makakita sila ng outside view. Lastly, food services should be located so that adequate ventilation and odors and exhaust do not interfere with other activities within the facility. So, dapat daw yung food services nasa lugar siya kung saan may adequate ventilation. Meaning, dapat yung mga bintana para yung outdoor air madidistribute within dun sa building or room. And wala din dapat amoy and init na makakapag-interfere sa mga gawain dun sa loob ng facility. Kunyari, yung pagkain dapat walang mabaho or hindi mainit dun sa pinagkakainan ng mga employees. So, here is an example. If an industrial facility employs 600 people and they are to eat in 3 equal 30-minute shifts, how much space should be planned for a cafeteria with vending machines, serving lines, or a full kitchen? If 36 square inches square tables are to be utilized, according to table 4.4, it indicates that 12 square feet is required for each of the 200 employees to eat per shift. Therefore, a 2,400 square feet cafeteria should be planned. So, sabi nga natin kanina, if a 36-inch square tables are used, yung space na gagamitin is yung average space, which is the industrial space, na may 12 to 15 square feet allowance per person. So, yung ginamit natin is yung 12 square feet. And paano naman natin nakuha yung 2,400 square feet na cafeteria? So, ang ginawa lang is, i-multiply lang yung 12 square feet dun sa 200 employees since required na magkaroon ng 12 square feet per person. Next, if a vending machine area is to be used in conjunction with the cafeteria, then an area of 200 square feet should be allocated for vending machine. Thus, a vending machine food service facility would require 2,600 square feet. So, saan nanggaling yung 2,600 square feet? So, i-add lang natin yung 200 square feet dun sa laki ng cafeteria, which is 2,400 square feet. Dahil nga matatagdagan ng vending machine area yung cafeteria. So, i-add lang natin and makukuha na natin yung 2,600 square feet. Next, a serving line may serve 70 employees in the first third of each meal shift. Therefore, 3 serving lines of 300 square feet each should be planned. A total of 3,300 square feet would be required for a food service facility using serving lines. So, dito naman, di ba sinabi natin kanina na yung typical industrial serving line nagre-require ng 300 square feet. So, dito, since 3 serving lines yung gagawin natin, i-multiply natin siya by 3. So, 300 times 3 is 900. So, 900 square feet plus yung laki ng cafeteria, which is 2,400. Ang magiging sagot is 3,300 square feet. So, ayun yung magiging laki ng food service facility using serving lines. Lastly, a full kitchen will require 3,300 square feet for cafeteria and serving lines. Plus, from table 4.5 here, sa table ito, 2,100 square feet for the kitchen. So, saan nanggaling yung 2,100 square feet for the kitchen? So, kung makikita, dun sa given, di ba, nag-employ sila ng 600 people. So, ang isa-serve nating meal is 600. And saan siya papatak? Dito siya sa 400 to 800. So, ganito yung ginawa ko. Dito sa side, nakikita nyo, di ba? 400, 500, 600, 700, 800. And yung area requirement niya is 1,400 to 2,800. Dinivide ko siya, 2,800 minus 1,400 is equal to 1,400. And dinivide ko yung 1,400 by 4 since 4 times tayo mag-a-add para ma-reach yung 2,800. So, 350 we add. So, makita nyo 600 na tao, diba? Ano yung katumbas niya? It is 2,100 square feet. So, ayun yung gagamitin natin for the kitchen. Therefore, a total of 5,400 square feet would be required for a full-service food service facility. So, makukuha natin yung 5,400 square feet by adding the 3,300 square feet for cafeteria and serving lines plus yung 2,100 square feet for the kitchen. And ayun na yung full-service food service facility natin. So, sa table 4.5, hindi siya dahil gusto mo lang na 1,000, kunyari 1,400 yung area requirement. Hindi, nakadepende pa rin siya sa number ng meals na isa-serve mo. Kagaya dito sa atin, 600 yung in-employ nila. So, 600 meals yung isa-serve nila. So, ayun, tingnan nyo kung ilan yung meals na isa-serve. Then, you should compute for the area requirement na katumbas nun. Okay, next, may two issues related sa food services. Yun yung drinking fountains and yung break areas. So, yung drinking fountains, dapat located siya 200 feet anywhere, basta malapit sa mga employees na regularly nagtratrabaho. Next is, local building codes should be consulted for determine their exact location. So, hindi lang pwedeng tayo ka lang ng tayo. Kailangan tingnan mo yung local building codes. Drinking fountains should be conveniently located but must not be located where employees using drinking fountains may be exposed to a hazard. So, kailangan madaling hanapin siya, madaling malocate para sa mga employees, pero wag naman sila malalagay sa alanganin dahil sa mga hazards like kunyari may something na pwedeng mahulog sa ulo nila habang umiinom, or baka may mahawakan silang wire habang umiinom, or basa yung sahig, ganun. Tapos may open wire. Dapat convenient para sa employees pero hindi sila malalagay sa alanganin. Next is, drinking fountains are often located near restrooms and locker rooms for the convenience of employees and because plumbing is readily available. So, hindi lang dahil convenient para sa mga employees na malapit sa restroom and locker rooms yung drinking fountains, dahil din, pinaka sa main reason is dahil sa mga existing plumbing work and large water lines na madaling makaka-feed sa drinking fountain. Next, if a cafeteria is within 400 feet of most employees, rest breaks should be confined to the cafeteria. And kung may cafeteria serving line, kailangan may dispenser ng drinks and snacks din para magamit yun tuwing breaks. If a serving line may not be used or if one does not exist, drinks and snacks should be available in the cafeteria from vending machines during break periods. So, ayun nga, kailangan may drinks and snacks na available dun sa cafeteria kahit walang serving line. Dahil, ayun yung gagamitin ng mga employees during their break periods. Locating a vending machines throughout the facility may cause supervision, food contamination, and trash disposal problems. So, ayun nga, ito yung isa sa mga problema tuwing break time or sa mga break areas. Pero, kung yung cafeteria is more than 400 feet from the employees, may mga vending machine dapat na malapit within dun sa facility para maiwasan yung pag-travel ng employee ng malayo. Lastly, when vending machines are used, break areas should be conveniently located for employees while at the same time not interfering with other activities. Usually, nakikita kasi yung vending machines sa break areas or malapit yung mga vending machines sa break areas. And dapat yung vending machine and break areas hindi siya nakakasagabal sa ibang gawain inside the facility or the building. So, ayun lang para sa food services. So, let's start the next topic, which is health services. Mahirap i-predict kung ano yung mga facility requirements para sa health services. May mga facilities na mas onti pa sa well-supplied first aid kit yung meron dun sa facility, and yung ibang mga facilities naman parang may small hospitals. So, kailangan talagang i-check yung local building code sa pag-establish ng facility requirements. So, here are some of the types of health services that may be provided within a facility. First is pre-employment examinations. So, ayun, humihingi talaga yung mga company, especially pag bagong i-hire ka nila, titignan nila yung medical examination mo. So, isa yun sa provide ng health services facility. Next is first aid treatment. So, ayun, gets yun naman yung first aid treatment. Third is major medical treatment. So, ano nga ba yung major medical treatment? Ito yung medical, surgical, or diagnostic intervention or procedure na pinapropose sa taong may mental retardation, intellectual disability, or related disability, wherein gumagamit ng anesthetic which is used or involves a significant invasion of bodily integrity requiring incision that produces substantial pain, discomfort, debilitation, or having a significant recovery period. Pero hindi kasama dito yung routine diagnosis or treatment gaya ng pagbibigay ng gamot or nutrition o pag-extract ng bodily fluids for analysis. So, ayun. Next is dental care. Yun, na-provide din nila. And lastly, treatment of illnesses. The facilities planner should check the firm's operating procedure to determine what types of services are to be offered and what health services staff is to be housed within the facility. So, kailangan muna malaman ng facilities planner yung operating procedure ng isang firms para malaman niya kung anong type ng services kung ino-offer ng firm na yun and sinong mga health services staff yung kailangan nila dun sa facility na yun. So, at the very least, dapat may small first aid room wherein may approved first aid kit siya, may isang bed, may 2 chairs, and a minimum of 100 square feet yung required na laki ng first aid room. Pero, pag mag-employ sila ng nurse, kailangan yung first aid room magkaroon ng 2 beds, ma-expand siya to 250 square feet, and in addition, kailangan magkaroon ng waiting room na may laki na 75 square feet. Tapos, for each additional nurse na i-employ pa nila, 250 square feet should be added to the space requirements for the first aid room. And 25 square feet should be added to the space requirements for the waiting room. So, ayun. So, etong figure 4.9, ito yung example ng nursing station layout. Ito yung isang typical na typical na nurse or first aid area for a plant facility. So, if a physician is to be employed on a part-time basis to perform pre-employment physicals, then 150 square feet examination room dapat yung i-provide. And if physicians are to be employed on a full-time basis, then the space requirement should be planned in conjunction with the physician based on the types of services to be offered. Ayun, pag part-time lang yung physician, okay na yung 150 square feet na laki ng facility. And kung mag-employ naman ng full-time physician, dapat nandun yung physician kapag magpaplano ng layout ng isang facility. Kasi yung space requirement nakadepende siya dun sa services na i-offer ng physician. Mga health services din dapat matatagpuan kung saan yung examination rooms katabi yung mga first aid rooms and malapit sila sa mga hazardous task. And health services should include toilet facilities and should either be soundproofed or located in a quiet area of the plant. Kailangan tahimik para makapagpahinga yung patient ng physician. And kailangan may toilet facilities in case na kailanganin ng patient or physician. And dapat makikita rin yung health services facilities near sa restrooms and locker rooms para madali nilang mapuntahan in case na kailangan nilang pumunta doon. Kasi hindi naman pwedeng magtagal yung physician sa labas. Kasi what if may dumating na pasyente na in need ng urgent medical care from the physician. So, ayun lang yung sa report ko. Thank you.
Good evening everyone, I am Leanne Magat and I will be reporting about the Employee Facility Interface and its two topics, which are the employee parking and the storage of employees' personal belongings. So first, what is an Employee Facility Interface? It is an interface between an employee's work and non-work activities must be provided. Ibig sabihin, itong interface ay nagpo-function as storage area for personal property ng mga employee during work hours. Yung mga personal property typically includes automobiles and employees' personal belongings such as coats, clothes, purses, and lunches. So basically, these are locker rooms or parking spaces for employees. So dahil mayroong dalawang topics, magsa-start tayo sa employee parking. So, employee parking are parking spaces that is allocated for staff members, employees, or officers na located sa designated areas for easy access sa kanilang mga specific offices or workspaces. So, to plan employee parking areas, there are 5 procedures to be followed. Planning employee parking areas is very similar to planning stores or warehouse areas. The procedure is to be followed is, first, we must determine the number of automobiles to be parked by type of automobile. So, in determining the number of automobiles, matinding pag-iingat ang kinakailangan gawin. Katulad sa mga remote sites or branch na hindi masyadong nadadaanan ng public transportation, it is recommended na tig-iisa ang parking space for each employees. Kasi nga, bawat isa sa kanila pinigurado may sariling sasakyan dahil nga remote yung area. And in centralized locations na may access sa public transpo, 1 parking space is given to 3 employees kasi may access sila sa public transportation. Kaya minsan, 3 employees can only use 1 parking space. And syempre, pag-uusapan pa nila kung sino yung gagamit. Pero ang number ng parking spaces na ipoprovide para sa lahat ay dapat specific rin sa bawat facility na meron ng isang lugar. At dapat in accordance rin sa local zoning regulations. So, number 2, determine the space required for each automobile. Yung size ng parking space para sa isang automobile is expressed by the stall width by stall depth na nagva-vary from 5.5 by 12 feet hanggang 9.5 by 19 feet. Depende sa type ng automobile and sa clearance na pinoprovide. Number 3, determine the available space for parking. To determine the available space for the parking, nagdedepende ito sa size ng parking space, yung parking angle at saka yung width ng aisle. Number 4, determine alternative parking layouts for alternative parking patterns. In determining alternative parking layouts and parking patterns, our attention should be paid sa mga handicap parking. Ang minimum requirements kasi dito ay 2 to 5 handicap spaces in 100 parking spaces. And hindi naman to common. Minsan kasi, isa lang ang handicap spaces sa 100 parking spaces. So, to check the standard and determine the right parking layout, we can contact the local facilities or agencies for verification. Next is number 5. Select the layout that best utilizes space and maximizes employee convenience. To select the best layout for us to use, dapat magsasurvey tayo within the similar facilities in the area for us to gather data with respect sa required number ng parking spaces na kailangan natin. So, kailangan rin natin i-consider ang variables na nag-i-exist between the employee parking space ratio sa mga kaparehas na facilities. So, in this slide, figure 4.1 shows the recommended range of stall widths in feet for various car types and uses. So, nakita naman natin dito sa figure 4.1 ang recommended range ng stall widths in feet. Para naman sa mga smaller cars, 7.5 to 8 feet ang range ng stall widths. Para naman sa mga all-day parker use ay 8 to 8.5 feet. Standard car use, 8.5 to 9 feet. Luxury and elderly use 9 to 10 feet, supermarket and camper use is 10 to 11 feet, at para naman sa mga handicap use is 12 feet or as specified by the state or local agencies in a specific place. Next is the factors to be considered in determining the specification for a specific parking lot are: number 1, the percentage of automobiles to be parked that are compact automobiles. As a planning guideline, it is more specific, or current data are not available. 33% of all parking is often located to compact automobiles. Number 2, increasing the area provided for parking decreases the amount of time required to park and depark. Number 3, angular configurations allow quicker turnover. Perpendicular parking often yields greater space utilization, although it also requires wider aisles. And number 4, as the angle of a parking space increases, so does the required space allocated to the aisles. Here's table 4.1 that shows the module width for each car group as a function of a single and double-loaded module options. So, automobiles parked in employee parking lots will be typically parked for an entire shift. So, parking and deparking time is not as important as space utilization. So, makikita naman natin dito sa figure 4.1, and stall width for compact automobiles ay 7.5 feet at 8.5 feet para naman sa mga standard size automobiles yung recommended. So, makikita naman natin dito sa 4.1 na may 3 car groups. Nasa next slide yung pangatlo. So, group 1 is small cars, group 2 is standard cars, and group 3 is large cars. So, per group, merong corresponding na stall width, which is yung SW na options. Katabi nung group 1 na name, ganyan. So, group 1 has one SW option, which is 8 feet. Group 2 has 3 options, which are 8.6 feet, 9 feet, and 9.6 feet. And in the next slide, yung group 3 has also 3 options, which are 9 feet, 9.6 feet, and 10 feet. So, balik tayo sa first slide. In each stall width na may option ay merong 4 configurations. Yung column ng W na may 1, 2, 3, 4, yun yung mga configurations. Yung mga configurations na to will be shown in figure 4.2. So, punta tayo sa 4.2. So, each configuration in a stall width ay merong 10 corresponding angles na para makapag-park, which is nire-represent ng theta symbol at may associated na module width. It is also shown in figure 4.2 yung parking angle. These parking angles are defined by the parking lane and curb as shown in figure 4.2. One example is once the car group and associated stall width is determined, a parking configuration can be chosen as the initial iteration depending on the lot size and design constraints. So, figure 4.2 also outlines typical parking configuration options available to the facilities planner. So, gamit ang figure 4.1 at 4.2, pati na rin yung table 4.1, makakapag-generate ng iba't ibang parking layout alternatives ang facilities planner na makakapagpa-optimize ng space na allocated na para sa parking at mamamaximize ang employee convenience. An important issue related to parking lot planning is the location of facility entrances and exits or ingress and egress conditions. Employees should not be required to walk more than 300 to 400 feet from their parking place to the entrance of the facility. The entrances should be convenient and not only to their parking location but also to their place of work. If multiple parking lots and entrances are needed in order to accommodate employees, then employees should be assigned to specific lots and entrances. All planned entrances and exits must be carefully planned to meet the appropriate insurance and safety codes. Sections 1910.34, 1910.36, and 1910.37 of the Occupational Safety and Health Act or OSHA standards described the requirements for entrances and exits, demonstrated compliance to NPA 101-2000 Life Safety Code will be in compliance with the OSHA requirements. Dito sa slide na to, ina-elaborate ang mga nabanggit na OSHA sections or OSHA standards kanina. The first OSHA section is section 1910.34, where it states that every employer is covered and exit routes are covered. So, section 1910.34 apply to workplaces in general industry except mobile workplaces such as vehicles or vessels. Kino-cover din ito ang minimum requirements para sa mga exit routes na kailangan i-provide ng mga employers para makapag-evacuate ang mga employees ng safe during an emergency, and kino-cover din ito yung mga minimum requirements for emergency action plans and fire prevention plans. Next is OSHA section 1910.36, and it states that an exit route must be permanent, the number of exit routes must be adequate, and there must be an exit discharge. So, section 1910.36 ensures na ang exit route in the workplace ay permanent. Ito rin ay separated sa mga fire-resistant materials. Opening sa mga fire exit ay limited lamang kapag may tunay na emergency. The number of exit routes must be more than 2 kung ang building ay malaki at mas maraming employees. Single exit route is permitted if the arrangement of the workplace is such that all employees would be able to evacuate safely during an emergency. And lastly, OSHA section 1910.37 that states the danger to employees must be minimized, lighting and marking should be adequate and appropriate, the fire retardant properties of paints or solution must be maintained, exit routes must be maintained during construction, repairs, or alteration, and an employee alarm system must be operable. It is important that exit routes are free of explosive or highly flammable furnishings and decorations. Each exit route should be lighted para makita ng mga employee yung papunta sa exit route. Lastly, employers must install and maintain an operable employee alarm na may distinctive signal o tunog na mag-warn sa mga employees kung may sunog or iba pang mga emergency. If the engineer is unable to provide the necessary parking lot spaces in a landlocked application, a multi-level concrete parking garage may be the only option to meet the necessary parking location requirement. Due to structural considerations across the country, it is advised to use the developed requirement by car type and contact an appropriate design firm for this option. The engineer can produce a viable layout using the described methodology. However, additional considerations for structural requirements should be considered. The next slide will be example 4.1. A new facility is to have 200 employees. A survey of similar facilities indicates that one parking space must be provided for every 2 employees and that 40% of all automobiles driven to work are compact automobiles. 5% of the spaces should be allocated for the handicapped. The available parking lot space is 180 feet wide and 200 feet deep. Assuming no walls and with no walking edge, determine the best parking layout using stall width or SW of 8 feet 6 inches for standard cars. If the new facility were to have the same number of parking spaces as similar facilities, 100 spaces would be required. Of these 100 spaces, 40 would be for compact automobiles. However, not all drivers of compact cars will park in a compact space. Therefore, only 30 compact spaces will be provided. Begin the layout of the lot using 90 double-loaded two-way traffic because of its efficient use of space to determine if the available lot is adequate. So, as can we see here in figure 4.2, W4 is the required module option kasi we need double-loaded two-way traffic because of its efficient use nga. Sabi nga kanina. So, next slide. Using the W4 module and table 4.1, we can obtain the following. Compact cars which is 8 feet, Ang gagamitin niyang angle is 90 degrees and W4 module. Ang module width naman niya is 57 feet and 2 inches. While standard cars with 8 feet and 6 inches ay same lang ng angle and module sa compact cars, pero na iba lang with sa module width na may 66, ito kasi may 66 feet. Check to see if the depth of the lot, which is 200 feet, can accommodate a parking layout consisting of 2 modules of standard cars and 1 compact module. So the formula would be 2 times 66 feet plus 1 times 57 feet and 2 inches is equals to 189 feet and 2 inches. So 189 feet and 2 inches is less than 200 feet, therefore the depth requirement is okay. The next slide, each compact module row will yield a car capacity based on the width of the lot, which is 180 feet, divided by the width requirement per stall, which is 8 feet, times the rows per module, which is 2. So, the quantity of 180 divided by 8 times 2 is equals to 44 potential compact cars na kakasya sa parking space na gagawin. Similarly, each standard module row will yield a car capacity based on the width of the lot, which is 180 feet, divided by the width requirement per stall, which is 8.5 feet, times the number of rows per module, which is 2, times the number of modules, which is 2 again. So, the quantity of 180 is divided by 8.5 times 2 times 2 again is equals to 84 potential standard cars na kakasya. So, total cars possible is equals to 44 compact cars plus 84 standard cars, which is equals to 128 cars, which is greater than the required number. Therefore, module configuration, which is W4, is feasible. A possible alternative of 2 rows per modules times 2 standard modules plus 2 rows per module times 1 compact module for a total of 6 rows is a starting point for the layout. Modifying the layout to account for handicap requirements and circulation reveals the following. Row 1 will handle all 5 handicap spaces, which is 5 times 12 feet is equals 60 feet. And the remaining space will be occupied by standard cars, which is 180 minus 60 divided by 8.5 is equals to 14 spaces. So 14 spaces is equals to 14 standard cars. Next is row adjusting for 2 circulation lanes of 15 each for of number 2 will handle 180 minus the quantity of 15 times 2 divided by 8.5, which is equals to 17 spaces for standard cars in the row number 2. Rows number 3 and 4 will yield the same number of spaces for standard cars. So, ibig sabihin, si rows 2, 3, and 4, pare-pareha sila na 17 spaces for standard cars. Next is row 5 will have 180 minus 30 divided by 8 is equals to 18 spaces for 18 compact cars. And lastly, row 6 will handle 180 divided by 8 and it is equals to 22 spaces for 22 compact cars. So, yung next slide, we can see figure 4.3 for the recommended layout of parking lot, for example, 4.1. Note lang na yung module width ay nakadepende po sa aisle width at saka sa stall depth, while yung module depth ay nakadepende naman sa stall width at sa parking width. Also, both the module width and the module depth ay nakadepende naman sa parking angle. So, in example 4.1, we assume that the cars are parked at 90 degrees. Therefore, the number of stalls along the module depth depended only on the stall width. In this slide, it shows the assignment of compact, standard, and handicap spaces as follows. In row number 1, there are 4 standard and 5 handicap spaces. In row number 2, 3, and 4, there are 17 standard spaces each. In row number 5, there are 18 compact spaces, and in row number 6, there are 22 compact spaces. In total of 40 compact spaces, 65 standard spaces, and 5 handicap spaces. Next example is example 4.2. Using the same data given for example 4.1, let us compute the number of standard car stalls that can be placed along the module depth, assuming a stall depth of 16 feet and a parking angle of 60 degrees, which is theta equals to 60. Before we compute the above number, it is instructive to compare the module widths. With 90 degrees parking under option W4 earlier, we obtained a module width of 66 feet from table number 1 for standard cars. With 60 degrees parking, however, from table number 1, table 4.1, we obtained 51 feet and 8 inches for the module width for standard cars. Hence, parking at an angle reduced the module width by more than 14 feet, which is a positive outcome since it may allow us to place more modules in a given lot. However, as the next show, the number of stalls per module decreases when the parking angle is reduced from 90 degrees to 60 degrees. We can see that we first compute the parking width, the PW. So recall that in figure 4.2, parking width or PW is equals to stall width, the SW, divided by sine theta. So that is parking width or PW is equals to 8.5 divided by sine 60 degrees, and equals to 9.8 feet. So in reference to figure 4.4, which is the module outline for example 4.2, we next compute the value of y, which represents the distance lost due to parking at an angle. So yung parking width natin dito sa slide na to is 9.8 feet. So, yung kinukuha naman natin sa susunod na slide is yung y. By definition, y is equals stall depth cosine theta is equals to 16 cosine 60 and equals to 8 feet. So, since the lot width is equals to 180 feet, we have module depth is equals to y plus the number of stalls times the parking width, and it is also equals to 180, which yields the number of stalls is 17.55. That is, we can place 17 standard car stalls along the module depth, assuming the parking angle of 60 degrees using a 90-degree parking angle in example 4.1. We had obtained 180 divided by 8.5 equals to 21 cars. Hence, we reduced the module width by about 14 feet but lost 8 cars per module in the process. So, also, parking at angles other than 90 degrees almost always requires the aisles to be one way. The parking angle that will maximize the number of the cars parked in general depends on the dimensions of the lot and how the individual modules are arranged within the lot. With increasing demand for parking spaces in virtually every major city and airport around the world, not to mention university campuses, parking lot design and management continues to be a topic of interest. So the last topic of employee-facility interface would be storage of employees' personal belongings. This may be in a form of a room containing lockers for the storage of personal belongings or are merely lockers along the office walls depending on the type of business the company runs. Some have changing rooms which are designed to be more private for the purpose of wardrobe change. A location for storage of employee personal belongings should be provided between the employee entrance and the work area. Here, employees typically store lunches, briefcases, and purses at their place of work. Employees who are not required to change their clothes and who work in an environment where toxic substances do not exist only need to be provided with a coat rack. Employees who either change their clothes or work where toxic substances are present should be provided with lockers. Employees working in Food processing and cooler and freezer application should be provided with lockers. The lockers may be located on a corridor adjacent to the employee entrance if clothes changing does not take place. More commonly, locker rooms are provided for each sex even if clothes changing is not required. Each employee should be assigned a locker. For planning purposes, 6 feet squared should be allocated for each person using the locker room. If shower facilities are to be provided, they should be located in the locker room. Sinks and mirrors are also typically included there. If toilet facilities are to be included, they must be physically separated from the locker room area should lunches to be stored in the lockers. So next, locker rooms are often located along an outside wall adjacent to the employee entrance. This provides excellent ventilation and employee convenience while not interfering with the flow of work within the facility. Figure 4.5 provides an example of plant entrance and changing room layout. So as you can see, the changing rooms are adjacent with the plant entrance. Magkaiba rin yung changing rooms ng sa women and men. May sari-sariling toilet at sink per changing room. May provided ring nursing station and for injuries at janitor closet na malapit dun sa mga changing rooms. The offices, cafeteria, and toilet is also nearby the plant area. Tatlo ang entrance at exit ng plant area, so if the employees need to go to the toilet, lobby, or changing room, ay makakapunta sila kahit saan sila lumabas. So this layout is not interfering with the flow of work within the whole plant. And that's the end of employee facility interface. So next reporter.
Good day, everyone. Kit here, your resident kakang Becky. I hope everyone is doing great despite of this disappointing outcome of our election. Though hindi rin natatapos ang laban, let's continue to work on what we started. Let's continue to inspire people to do good, and let's continue to discuss Chapter 4, Personal Requirements. So let's proceed to topic 4.6, which is barrier-free compliance. So alinsunod pa rin ito sa ADA, or the Americans with Disabilities Act, which has the intent to ensure that disabled persons shall have the same right as the abled person to the full and free use of all facilities that serve the public, as mentioned nga earlier ng mga groupmates ko. So, ang ibig sabihin nito, kailangan na walang diskriminasyong nararanasan ng mga kapatid nating PWD sa loob ng mga pasilidad, at nararapat lang na nakadesenyo rin ito not only for those for the comfort of able-bodied individuals, but also for those who are disabled. So, all barriers that would impede or makakasagabal sa mga disabled persons must be removed, thereby making the facility barrier-free. Ang counterpart ng ADA sa Pilipinas ay ang Republic Act number 07277, or the Magna Carta for Disabled Persons, wherein it says that disabled persons have the same rights as other people to take their proper place in society. They should be able to live freely and as independently as possible. This must be the concern of everyone, the family, community, and all government and non-government organizations. Also, there is the Batas Pambansa bilang 344, or the Accessibility Law. So, ano nga ba itong accessibility law na ito? It requires certain buildings, institutions, and establishments, as well as public utilities, to install facilities and other devices that will enhance the mobility of disabled persons in these facilities. So, mahalaga na sa bansa natin is may ganitong uri rin ng batas para lahat ng tao syempre pantay-pantay and safe. So moving on, as facilities planners, kailangan nating malaman kung ano nga ba ang mga barriers na sinasabi dito. So a barrier is defined as the physical object that impedes a disabled person's access to the use of a facility. So basically, ito ay yung mga sagabal. For example, yung mga pinto na hindi sapat ang lapad para mapasukan ng mga wheelchair and pati yung mga hagdan or sidewalks na walang ramps for wheelchairs. Also, the lack of automatic or push-button doors, yung mga high shelves, tables without knee and toe clearance, and low lighting or weak color contrast. Ilan lamang yan sa mga examples ng physical barriers. However, note also that communication barriers are also included since these are an integral part of the physical structure of the facility. Halimbawa is yung mga signage na makikita natin for reminders and caution. It is important for us industrial engineers to approach the design of a facility influenced by the ADA. Kailangan natin isaisip from the entrance to the space within the facility up to the offices, workspace, bathrooms, emergency exits, and exits that it is disabled person friendly. But how would we know the correct dimensions nga ba para masukat kung sapat na ba yun for all kasama ang mga kapatid natin with na PWD. So to remain effective facilities planners, we must take account for the handicapped person's space requirements versus that of an able-bodied person. So let's move on to the next slide wherein we'll compare these requirements. You can see here the wheelchair dimensions as well as the average turning radius. So the typical clearance of a wheelchair is 2 feet 3 inches to 2 feet 5 inches. Though syempre magkakaiba naman yung size ng mga tao, so it varies talaga. But this is the standard dimensions. Then kapag naman sa table, the table height should be 2 feet 7 inches. And from there, the typical height is 3 feet 2 inches, an easy reach of 1 feet 10 inches, while a high reach of 4 feet 10 inches. And lastly, the average turning diameter is 5 feet 3 inches. For able-bodied persons naman, so need natin to take consideration yung both standing and sitting positions. For standing, the typical clearance is 1 foot 8 inches to 2 feet, and the typical height is 4 feet 8 inches with a reach radius of 2 feet. From floor to top table height, there is a measurement of 3 feet, while sitting naman, there is a typical clearance of 3 feet 2 inches and an easy reach of 2 feet and an inch. The knee clearance is 2 feet and an inch as well. Lastly, there is a high reach of 4 feet 8 inches. So by comparing these dimensions, we'll have the so-called reach zone, which is this. So the gray area where both groups can comfortably access objects placed in this zone. So this zone, as shown, is typically 3 feet to 4 feet above floor level. These upper and lower limits were defined by the reach limits of both groups. The upper limit is dictated by the height that a physically disadvantaged person can easily reach an object, whereas the lower limit is defined by the reach of the average able-bodied person without bending. So from analyzing the clearances for both groups, mahalaga na to take account ang mga dimensions na ito sa mga gagawin nating doors, hallways, restrooms, and the overall facility design. It is also a great help to correctly place necessary equipment or basic needs like the telephones, personal equipment and storage, elevator designs, emergency exits, and many more that deal with facility design. And that's everything you need to know about um, barrier-free compliance. So next topic is the office facility planning. Based on the book, offices daw ang pinaka-challenging na planuhin dahil ang daming need consider. For example, each office employee syempre has an opinion on how space should be planned. Presenting an office layout to an office employee creates the same reactions as giving a group photograph to a person who is not in the photograph. Ang point daw kasi is there will be a focus on how the person will relate to others. The employee is focus on the size, noise, proximity of facilities such as the boss, coffee, cafeteria, elevator, duplicating machines, windows, entrance or exit doors, and so on. So bilang mga facilities planners, we must follow a methodical planning process. In this process, the starting point for planning office facilities is the collection of data concerning the objectives of the facility and the activities to be performed to accomplish these objectives. So, mahalaga na malaman mo kung para saan ba ang facility, how much action, and what actions will be done within the space. The data that will be collected will be used to determine departmental interrelationships and departmental area requirements. So, when the data gathering is completed, a series of management interviews should be conducted to verify and um, refine office requirements. So there are two approaches to office planning. There is the open office and the closed office. An open office is one in which the office area is free from temporary or permanent partition walls. The space is open and no floor-to-ceiling walls exist. However, a closed office structure is a structure where floor-to-ceiling temporary or permanent partition walls break up the office facility into smaller rooms. So, very self-explanatory, open and closed. Ganun. Next naman, himayin natin lalo the difference between them. So in an open office, there are benefits and problems as well. It is said that the motivation to open offices is to increase flexibility for changes in office operations and to easily accommodate expansion. So mas madali nga namang mag-adapt sa pagbabago ang open office kasi um, less sagabal if may babaguhin sa design and structure. So these are the benefits of an open office. First is improved communication. Since it is open nga, mas madali makipag-usap and mas mabilis kumalat ang information. Second is improved supervision because in a setup that is very open, it is clear to rely. It is easier to rely directions. Third is better access to common files and equipments. Fourth is it is easier to illuminate, heat, cool, and ventilate. So as a result, there is the fifth one, which is it will result to lower maintenance cost. Lastly, reduce space requirements due to space flexibility. However, there is also a disadvantage for having an open office. First is the lack of privacy. For extroverted and socially awkward people, an open office is a hellhole. Also, if the space is open and magkakamukha lang yung tsura niya, it will be hard to determine who's who in terms of status in the management. Kung sino ba yung boss, kung sino ba yung um, secretary or sino yung worker. So yun, may hirapan ma-determine. So noise is also a big barrier for good communication. And lastly, madali kang mawawala ng focus kasi there is an easy access for interruptions and interference. So for mga machichikang workers and those who have zero attention span, worse din ang open office sa kanila. Pero there are ways naman to address privacy problem. There are two, which is for visual and audible privacy. In visual privacy, it is achieved by using screens or movable partitions and locating workstations so that lines of sight do not intersect. While in audible privacy, it is related to noise control and worker interference and may be partially achieved by providing visual privacy. In offices, soundproofing the partitions reduces noise. So, isa pang method is to introduce electronic noise to mask the sounds. And the objective of this electronic noise is not to eliminate noise but to mask the sounds so that they are not discernible or nakakabingi or nakaka-distract. So, next slide. This is the close office. It is recommended when the work is confidential, when noise from various sources cannot be masked, and when the task to be performed required undisturbed concentration. So, kapag very important and need ng privacy, mahalaga yung close office. Pero, as you can see, there is an open and closed office. So, halos lahat ng offices are designed in a combination of both open and closed. If there is enough space, syempre, need to consider the size of the areas always. Mas maganda na yung facility design is open and closed. Next, the area requirements. So, for my last topic, I'll discuss the area requirements for different parts of the offices. Mahalaga na we plan and determine the specifications of every room so that we can efficiently use the available area that we have. This is an essential step in the planning of office facilities. So, ayan. These are the suggested square footage requirements. Take note the word suggested kasi these are always subject to change based on your own reasons as a facility planner. However, you must always remember to prioritize the comfort of those who will stay in these areas. So, sa President's Office, it is suggested that it is measured at 250 to 400 square feet. For the Vice President's Office, 150 to 250 square foot. Executive Office, 150 to 250 square feet. For the partition open space for supervisors or managers, 80 to 100 square feet. Conference rooms, 15 square feet per person for a theater style room, 20 to 30 square feet per person for a conference sitting style of room. For the mail room, 8 to 9 feet wide. Length depends on the amount of usage. Reception area, 125 to 200 square feet for a receptionist and a number of 2 to 4 people. 200 to 300 square feet for a receptionist and 6 to 8 people. So, para naman sa file room, 7 square feet per file with a 3 to 4 feet aisle width. And lastly, for an open space, clerical or secretary, measured at 60 to 100 square feet. So, ito lang yung part ko for our report. So, move on to our next reporter. Thank you.
Good day, I'm Angelique Arce and I'm going to discuss about the office planning in high-tech, high-growth environments. The high-tech, high-growth era beginning in the late 19,000s spurred the development of office campuses. One particular company's office campus concept is worth noting. In providing office services to its clients, Infrastructure Incorporation provides full-service infrastructure and facility support. Their approach is to provide a completely integrated and supportive work and lifestyle environment for growth companies. The company overcomes typical operating obstacles by combining workspace, technology infrastructure, business support, and professional services, leaving companies free to concentrate on their core business. They act as enablers to growth companies. Three things are achieved. Speed to market. The campus is preloaded with all necessary business and technology infrastructure, enabling companies to accelerate their speed to market. Capital preservation. Initial capital investment is reduced since office-related capital investments are not needed. The concept is one of rent rather than ownership. Scalability. Growth needs are accommodated for small and large fluctuations in workspace demands. Companies can utilize as much or as little as they need to succeed. The two charts in Figure 4.13 compare traditional outsourcing of office products and services versus a pyramid structure. In the traditional method, the company has to do the outsourcing itself. Under the pyramid structure, infrastructure provides all the office products and administrative services, and the tenant company occupying the campus pays monthly fees to cover the expenses it consumed each month. A comparison of the two types of operation is given in Figure 4.14 based on a 23-person firm. The office suites are completely scalable and modular furnishings include desks, chairs, drawers, and file cabinets. Standard hardware and services included in every office and workstations are PBX lines, T1 voice and DSL lines, analog lines, telephone cabling, and firewall routers. Other services include artwork, shared administrative office staff, receptionists, security system monitoring, mailroom facilities, photocopier, and so forth. All offices are furnished with the same type of ergonomic chairs, desks, and drawers. They all look alike so that when it is time to move to a bigger office cluster, the moves come in and the next day you are in a different room but everything is the same. Even the same telephone number. 4.15 shows the floor plan of the office areas. The conference and meeting rooms are common to all clients with a fixed number of hours per month included in the rent of the office space and extra time charged on a used basis. Conference rooms with dry erase walls are equipped with all technology that can be assembled, including computer hookups, wall-mounted flat-screen interactive monitors, teleconferencing equipment, and so on. Figure 4.16 shows one of the conference rooms. In addition, an office client is offered other amenities including a copy center, branch bank, concierge for travel and entertainment services, sanctuary facilities where client company staff can relax, meditate, or sleep in total silence, a training center and a spa, a cafe and bar for meals, snacks, and refreshments, laundry service, and a backyard garden. Figure 4.17 is the floor plan for the ground floor that shows all the above amenities. A company can literally walk in, sign a contract, and operate the business in a week with all the office infrastructure and services available to large companies. At the end of the month, the company will be invoiced for the use of the facilities. Its targeted clients are incubator-type companies. As B. Dreyer of Infrastructure stated, we look for the clients that are high growth and startups. Technology, biotech, and the other high growth potential vertical markets are prime candidates for the infrastructure model. These companies typically have tighter windows of market opportunity. The clients that come here have to place actual dollar value to the office infrastructure facilities, and the soft benefits of the amenities that are offered in-house. By providing the client a month-to-month agreement, we provide them with maximum flexibility with respect to growth, capital preservation, and scalability. We can get them on campus in about 1 to 2 weeks and scale them in-house in less than 24 hours to 1 week depending on our occupancy capacity. As you can see from our discussion, office planning is no longer planning for individual office space requirements. It is now transformed into office systems that are modular, flexible, and scalable. It is an office environment with the goal of providing growth companies and their employees with an environment that will make them more productive. Guidelines to determine facility requirements for parking lots, locker rooms, restrooms, food services, health services, ADA compliance, and office facilities have been provided in this chapter. Answers to the following questions are not the responsibility of the facilities planner. Should employees be assigned parking locations or should parking be random? Should locker rooms be provided even though clothes changing does not take place? Should restroom be centralized or decentralized? Should food be provided to employees from vending machines or serving lines? Should a physician be employed to provide health services or is a nurse adequate? The answer to these questions are generally the responsibility of the Human Resources Department, Industrial Relations Department, or Personnel Department. Once these are answered, the facilities planner can utilize the guidelines set forth in this chapter to provide personal services within the facility. However, because the individuals who are responsible for answering such questions might not understand the cost impact of their decisions, the facility planner should play an active role in the overall facility planning decision-making process. Finally, we provide some information on office facilities. We reiterate that while space allocation is a necessary task, the office planning process should address the broader issue of creating an environment where people will be more productive. And that's all for our report today. Thank you.